Hello, it's me, Michael, from Good to Hear, with another weekly report that maybe 4 people will watch, but I'm just doing it because I want to keep track of everything I've been doing, because sometimes it's easy to forget that you've been quite busy. So let's just have a look. This is what I've been doing. This last week, I basically doubled down on Done Good, so I've got a plan that involves having an alpha of Done Good ready for public consumption in the next couple of weeks. So I just spent most of my time on it this week. And the main problem I was trying to solve was, like, how do I organize the targets for the week? So here's my hours. So you see it's mostly Done Good, bit of music, a bit of podcast. So if I just show you what I was dealing with, I don't think I actually have a screen. Typical. I don't think I actually have a screenshot of what I had before, but the way Done Good works is it shows you one thing at a time. And the way it can do that is by knowing like how much of each, so it's a time boxing principle. So it knows how much you want to do of each task, of each project per day, and then based on that it'll be so instead of saying here's an endless task list of things you've got to do, it says, okay, we're going to time box 4 hours, and then whatever you get done on this project you get done, and then you move on to the next project. And sort of actually describe it, telling it which projects to do when, without it turning into a whole really detailed sort of administrative process in itself, isn't necessarily straightforward. And what we want, and bearing in mind I've got some pretty chronic data here, so most people will have like a couple of projects, but I've got quite a few now. So here's sort of my plan for the day. So I do X amount of minutes on admin, and then once I've done half an hour's worth of admin, I move on to the next thing. Or like, you know, I can do it for a bit longer depending on what's happening. But how do we organize this calendar? Well, before it was kind of I set one set of targets up and then that was sort of static, but I've recently been finding, for instance, this week, wanting to change my schedule up a little bit without kind of like having to then go back and redo everything again. I was a bit worried about doing that. So what I did was I sort of had to think about it first. And I had this sort of initial vision of, like, at the start of each week, it goes, how much time do you want to spend this week? And then it just lets you kind of apportion, like, how many hours you want to spend. And then I was looking at this, and I know this is ugly, but I was looking at this idea of like the way the Mac OS partition works. It's got this little sort of turny like pie chart thing. So I thought, well, you say I want to work 12 hours, and then it just sort of divides up your time. And then I thought, okay, well, we have like our 12 hours, and then we can add in segments, and then it can sort of show you, as you click on each segment, it can show you, you know, how much time you're going to spend on each one of those. Sorry about that. Slack. So I built that. I sort of built a prototype of this, and it took me a while. It was quite a lot of work getting these this drag and drop interaction to behave correctly, and just having everything sort of like 0.1. Like as you sort of edit some data, it's gonna, you know, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, hovering over what the task list is, all this kind of stuff, and then like the idea of you click build schedule from this plan. But I mean, you can see it's just kind of confusing. And I had this idea, okay, copy in the most urgent tasks that, okay, admin's got a lot of tasks. Let's try and like organize them like that. Or, but it was just a little bit of a mess. So I went back to the drawing board and came up with something that I'll skip to the sort of something a bit more like this, where we have like here's what's left to do, and then you just drag the things in. Because part of this was the next screen. I kind of got this drag and drop UI working. So that's what we've ended up with. Not perfect yet, but we've got this drag and drop interface now. So let's see how that looks, where I can see what projects I've got available. And basically, at the start of the week, it goes, do you want to... Well, it just shows you a pop-up which just says, do you want to copy last week's targets, or do you want to like edit the calendar? So you only see this if you decide, I actually want to have a look at this. And then it's a case of if we can copy last week's data in, we can clear it, and then just sort of like arrange the schedule with drag and drop. And this feels pretty good. And then I've got this other thing of I don't want to lose any projects that I haven't done. So this button will, until you've, so some of these tasks, you know, I've not put any time in for changes Android. So it's saying, okay, you've got quite a few tasks that you're not going to get to. But so then if I say I'm going to work on that on Saturday, okay, so now there's this one task unscheduled, which is this mistake task. But okay, so now right, we can schedule 36 hours, click go, and then we're in. I won't do that now because and then that sort of means I can fine tune this schedule, and then on Monday or last thing today I can just plan my week and either make it the same as last week. But this is now going to let me also jump forwards and backwards per week. So even if I haven't scheduled everything for this week, if I've scheduled it for the next couple of weeks, so Android in that case, as long as it's in like a couple of weeks' time that I'm going to get to it, I can just, you know, save it and it'll be green. So the idea is like, there's no point in having a task list if you're never going to. There's no point in having a task list if you're never going to get to some of the tasks on it. So for me, like the point of this is to start from the idea that like that a task is only valid if you've actually set aside time to do it. And so that's what I've been working on this week, and it's kind of coming together. So I'm hoping to have an alpha of that soon. It was rainy. I made that one today. Another thing I spent a lot of time on this week, I don't know if you've noticed that the camera picture looks a lot better. I found a way of connecting my DSLR to the computer that doesn't need like the whole capture card and all that. But the other thing I started on is some reports for. I'm starting on my 12-month since I quit contracting report, which I'm hoping to come up with a more clickbaity title for. But I had a look at my happiness versus project just to see. So I managed to cross-reference it by sort of task type. So this is all coming from Dungood. Like having a look at, okay, so obviously the thing I've spent the most time on is causing me the most unhappiness, and I've just also got my let's see, code. Why is it not loading the weekly happiness? We're locking up. Let's try it again. So I've got my insights over here. Did I just show you income? I may have. That's the reason to subscribe. So I've sort of got this chart together, and then I've got this chart together, and then this is like my happiness and unhappiness week by week since January. So I've started putting that together. So finding out, I mean, no huge surprises, but that is the next thing that I have been working on. That's a nice fire engine footage. That was by. I've got to stop showing you my inbox and stuff. Right, so next up, just other miscellaneous stuff is I've been having some talks with some people. We've got some updates on changes. I actually brought this up, didn't I? So I've got sort of a first draft of what the website's going to look like, make better decisions with data. And we're sort of starting to try and put some copy in because the current website I'm just not happy with. So we've got a little bit of progress on that. It's going to be a couple of weeks before I can work on this, but trying to have a think about this video, how I'm going to demonstrate the changes at. And a bit of music. I've been quite enjoying. Quite enjoying doing a bit of music on the rig in there. Can I Well, if I turn the camera, it's all going to go wrong. But it's looking fun. And the only other thing, the podcast, we got back on the podcast. We did quite a good one this week. So today we recorded an episode called Overcoming Expertise Paralysis. So we just thought, hey, let's invent a term. And so that'll come out on Tuesday. So keep an eye out for that. And now for some footage of Sharon and me podding some peas. Podding peas. We're podding peas.